That was an interesting game that we just watched there. Sixers Jazz, and the Sixers needed a W. They got the W, as we said, just get the win, and they did. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame
That's about all they did.
Live from the Xfinity studio, along with Kyle. I'm Devon. Bree is the president of basketball operations. She is here with us as always. Thanks to all of you for hanging out with us in the chat. You watched it. We watched it. Derek is at the arena. He watched it. They got it.
He watched it in person. What a delight for him.
34-28. They did what they needed to do, and that's where we are here tonight. So this is what we have in store for you tonight. I am
You're tanking over there
because I am tanking just like the Jazz are, because I mean, seriously, we all had to watch that one, but they got the W. All right, this is what we have. Player of the game a little bit later. We'll get to the unsung hero presented by Togo, and we'll also have the Wawa Wednesday big deal that we will share with you as well tonight. But let's start off with the main thing of the night. As we begin, it was the Jabari Walker game, as I see Reardon says there in the chat. But the main thing tonight, Kyle, is while it was not pretty, they did just enough to escape with the win. And all we asked for was win the damn game, and they did.
Saying that, I would like to ask for a little bit more than what they were capable of offering on the floor tonight. We will obviously get to Jabari Walker. Great game.
We'll get to him.
Great game. He should, hold his head high, be proud of the 3-point shooting.
Back-to-back 20-point games.
Double-digit rebounds tonight as well. And we complain so much about the rebound. So he'll get his kudos at some point. I can't stand watching this team in their current form, and I get it. They're missing so many guys. This isn't just Joel. It's PG. It's Kelly. It's VJ. I had a low bar that they had to clear tonight, and they somehow ran into the bar and face planted over it, and still managed to get to the finish line ahead of the other team who is actively trying to lose. And I think that's what is.
But I think they tried to win. The players tried to win.
The players tried to win.
I thought Keyonte George was fouled by Quentin Grimes on that drive.
Listen,
I do.
They probably got a little bit fortunate there at the end. So in a game like this, where I at least a little bit take the win for granted, and clearly I should not have, Devon. The stuff that makes me upset is the failure to execute or the failure to understand game situation and basic stuff. So the example I'll give, start of the third quarter, they're up, 5 going into halftime, I believe. And they played, as we said before the game, a lineup with 3 non-shooters and like a half a shooter in Quentin Grimes, where we believe in him, but the shot has been hit or miss for long stretches of the year. And you're just waiting, you're waiting for the Jazz to go heavy zone defense. Well, what do they do in the beginning stages of the third quarter? They play zone. They played some matchup. They played some strict 2-3, and the Sixers dealt with it poorly. I thought Maxey, after, I think, properly navigating the start of the game, he found a good balance of, I'm playmaking now, I'm scoring later. Start of the third quarter was a lot of, they got him off the ball, and he never found it again. And it ended a lot of possessions with Trendon Watford at the free throw line, taking a push shot. Dominic Barlow as that guy in the middle of the zone. Like, guys that the Jazz are happy to say, like, we'll take you taking twos and live with that. They stopped generating threes for a while against a team that's playing a defense that allows you to generate threes. And the offense just grinds to a screeching halt in the third quarter. Ugly. The Jazz get out on the break. They start feeling good about themselves. Ace Bailey has a little bit of a run there in the second half.
Kyle was waiting for the dagger, everybody.
I just felt in my soul that Ace Bailey was going to hit some contested 3 to win the game, and our guy B Pump would be in the chat just crowing and crowing and crowing. So luckily we didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I struggle to watch this team fail at the basics, where it's like, you knew Tyrese is going to get doubled and trapped coming into the night. I didn't feel they dealt well with that. I don't think he dealt well with it for most of the game, quite frankly. Like, didn't come back to the ball, didn't do a good enough job of making his open shots when he got them. It's just not a look, the talent level on the floor right now is not very good, but they're also not a disciplined and well-structured team. And it goes back to what we said last night. Like, how you play, to me, is as important as did you get the win, because it tells us more about what's going to happen against a good team, or when you're playing more meaningful games in the playoffs, when Joel or Paul and other guys are available. And they're just a mess. I'm glad they got the win for, I guess, everybody's sanity, but I don't know that I don't feel good about that game. I don't think most of the people listening to this show felt good about this game. I don't think the people we talk to in our Discord and elsewhere feel good about that game. So, yes, I agree. The main thing is they got the win. I just sure wish it felt better after the game that they got that win.
Yeah, so as you're saying that, I wanted to make sure I double check. I knew it was 34-28, and they have 62 games already in the book. So they have 20 games left. And with the 20 games left, as you say that, it made me want to just follow up and ask you, why is that? With 20 games left, I understand that you mentioned 4 starters, essentially, that are out of the lineup tonight, and Tyrese Maxey. I said to Kyle and Bree, and maybe I said it in the pregame, but I did in the sense of talking about Quentin Grimes and what he needed to do out there on the floor with the roster that he was, the personnel outside of Maxey that he was running with. And I said to Bree and Kyle during the game that, man, this looks so much like a game in March last season when they were tanking. And it was that bad, as Kyle pointed out, that this was not a fun watch at all. I mean, look at the final score, for goodness sake. 106-102. They could not generate offense out there, even though they shot 45%. And you would generally take that as an okay thing. They only had 88 field goal attempts on the night. They could not really generate offense. They were really, really slow. They couldn't identify how to look. It looked like, at least from the television, when they had Trendon Watford, as Kyle was talking about the third quarter, when they had him in the middle of the zone, clearly they wanted to get the ball to him in the middle of the zone to break it and bust it open and have somebody who has a pretty good passing IQ, whether it's a lob or a bounce pass closer to the basket for one of the big men, or to spray it out after the defense collapsed on him a little bit to one of the players around the perimeter, Grimes, Maxey, Edwards, whoever it may have been out there on the floor at that point. Clearly, that's what they wanted to do. But you couldn't get it there. And that's the issue, that you couldn't get it there. And just watching it, it was a brutal watch of 4 guys out, and you realize how important all 4 of them, each one of them individually, and their importance when it's one of them out. But then when you have 4 of them out with Maxey out there by himself, that's a problem. But with all of that said, how are we at game 62 and some of these fundamentals that you're talking about of figuring out a not very complicated defense?
No.
Overall, yes, they're professionals, so it's not like you're playing CYO or in your high school anymore or anything like that, but it's not a complicated thing to figure out or to make some adjustments, to have someone come up and set a screen on a man on a certain side of the zone, have another flash to that point where bounce pass might be there for you. So, I mean, there are some really fundamental things that you just kind of scratch your head at game 62 as to why that it is, why it at least looks so complicated and makes it look so clunky on the floor.
And then there are other things, like you go to the defensive end of the floor, and I feel like we've scrutinized them a lot more there recently in terms of the scheme and the overhelping, and they're conceding open threes. Like I was saying to you before the game, I'm expecting Ace to hit like 5 threes, and he could hit at least 5. He got good looks because they load up in the middle of the floor. Guys like Collier are getting downhill, guys like Keyonte George getting downhill, and they're spraying passes out to wide open shooters. And we've talked about that being a problem and something that maybe you need to adjust your principles for a while now. But even the basic stuff, transition defense is the one that I keep hammering. Nick Nurse, frankly, has been public about, we've talked about this. We're drilling this. We're trying to improve at it. And then you watch a possession, like there was one in the third quarter. Cody Williams just dribbled straight down the middle of the floor in transition. Nobody stops him. In CYO, in elementary school, middle school basketball maybe, they teach you get to the free throw line, stop ball, and that's the very first thing you have to do other than get back. It's get back, stop ball. And they let this guy get all the way to the rim, and they have to take a foul on him at the rim because they can't commit to the basic principles of transition defense. And that wasn't even one where they didn't have guys back. There were probably 3, maybe 4 guys back on that play. And they're just like, where am I supposed to be? I don't understand the geometry of the floor or what my assignment is here. And so little things like that, obviously you get away with it against the Utah Jazz, who are actively trying to lose games. They're sitting guys out, ruling them out for the season, et cetera, et cetera. You play real teams, you get punished for that stuff. You play real teams, and they do that on top of, hey, they get to scheme against you in a 7-game series. They get to see you every single night and plan for your specific tendencies, your specific plays, and different matchups that they're going to game. What does your rotation look like every night? And that stuff just adds to all the problems that you have in a playoff series. And it's why on a night like tonight, you focus on things like that, because this is stuff that you have to hammer out no matter who you're playing, right? You can't get beat to offensive, like floorboards, right? Balls that are hitting the ground under your rim, those have to be yours. It doesn't matter if it's Andre Drummond, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George, whoever it is. Clean that stuff up. Transition defense, clean that stuff up. Zone offense, how you play out of traps, clean that stuff up. Because the execution stuff, the high level, late game, that stuff matters. But if you can't do the basics, we can't even get to the point that you worry about how all the end game and high level X's and O's type stuff plays out.
I agree. And so, I mean, again, even so the defensive stuff, that Cody Williams example that Kyle brings up, that's just one, because we saw Keyonte George straight line drives to the basket for finishes. Saw other players that had straight line drives that were finishes. Adem Bona was good tonight. So it wasn't on him, but you need others to really. I think Walker was active there. Barlow at times did, of course, try to protect the paint as best as possible. We'll get to Andre Drummond because he was pretty much a net negative in every area of the floor tonight. So we'll talk about him. But with all of that, and look, even when we go shift to the offensive side, before I turn things over, because I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here, is that when we talk about the fundamentals, even on offense, it was so bad that while we jokingly said they're going to need an extra ball handler in Kyle Lowry, he really needed Kyle Lowry tonight just to make simple passes, to make the simple reads as a passer to help Tyrese Maxey out. He literally needed to put him out there tonight. He had to, because it was just, that was something that they needed from a guard tonight, and they needed to bring Kyle Lowry in to do that. And it was what it was. He made a couple of passes, made a smart play where he got a young player to leave his feet, to get some free throws. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Those free throws counted because they won by 4 tonight. So they needed those 2 from him. And that's where we were tonight. And that's where I'm going to then lean back to the other side and say, let me play devil's advocate. Coleman is right. As we said at the top, they won. They were down 4 starters. If all of those players are out there, while we have seen different pockets of the schedule and streaks of the games that they have played where we have been frustrated with all of those 4 on the floor with Tyrese Maxey, they are a much better team with them on the floor. And I agree with Kyle to judge them at, we are in game 62 and these things should not be happening, especially when we see other teams in similar situations and play better and execute better out there on the floor. But for me tonight, it was terrible to watch. I am happy that they got the W. I am not happy how they got there, but they got the W. And I know that when the other 4 come back, they are at least a competitive team that I am probably going to pull whatever hair I have left, I am going to pull it out at some point in March and April, hopefully in April and May in the playoffs, where they're going to have me frustrated. But I am going to be looking at them and saying, you should have won that when these are the mistakes that Kyle was talking about on March 4th. I'll take the fact that they do have 20 left and the illness keeping Kelly Oubre down. He will be back. Hopefully Edgecombe, it was good to see him sitting on the bench I did not see a cushion that he was sitting on, so he was on the bench. I'm happy about
cushion
that.
Watch.
Hashtag cushion watch. And Joel, we presume, will be back at some point with the oblique. Hopefully the knee or the shin doesn't then pop up as a new thing on the injury report when it's time for him to get back. Kyle is right about everything, but I am just simply
clipping that.
I am simply going to put it on the hat.
Oh. Shout out to our guy, Dr. Philly, in the Discord.
I'm going to take this win. I'm going to complain some more here tonight, but I am going to take the fact that they are 34-28, because if they would have lost this basketball game, Kyle probably wouldn't have been.
I think my head would have exploded.
He wouldn't have been the only one where the head exploded tonight on this show if they lost to the Jazz. I looked at Bree, because where we sit on the couch, some of you have been in our offices and on the studio, and we have our couches. Then we have a nice high table where Bree was sitting. She was doing her work back there. And I turned around and looked at Bree and said, sorry. The Jazz went up 7, and I said, this game is over in favor of the Jazz.
From the
So, old reverse jinx from me. I thought they were going to lose this one. I did not like how they did it. They got the win. Still a ton to talk about. But, man, it wasn't pretty. When the other guys come back, I expect them to be better. They have the Hawks on Saturday. I don't feel good about that one if those guys are not back.
No.
They have Cleveland on Monday. Both of those on the road. I don't feel great about those either. That's why
Detroit next week
you
as
take
well.
this one and you book it, because we said it. How do they get 10 wins? Because when we get to later on with the standings as a part of the show, you understand why you take this one. I don't expect them to win on Saturday. I don't expect them to win on Monday. I would be thrilled if they do win one of two of those. I'll take this one.
That's all we're doing is taking the win, because everything else, except for you, Jabari, you were damn near perfect tonight.
Yeah,
we'll talk about him a little bit, but
that was ugly though.
Ugh,
it was ugly.
Yuck.
It was ugly. Kyle's right. So I tried, everybody. I really did. He's not wrong, because it was ugly.
You're not convincing me, buddy.
I know. I don't think I'm convincing him there either. But hey, if I can't convince you at all, still hit the like button, like and subscribe to the show, leave a comment, tell me I'm wrong, but they needed the W, because guess what?
Mr. Sunshine and Rainbows over here. Tell him exactly why he's wrong in the comment.
Because guess what? If they would have lost, you would be going nuts. They got the win. I'm not saying chill. I'm just saying they got the win. All right, when we come back, we're going to get to the big deal presented by Wawa on this Wednesday. We got the unsung hero a little bit later, and we'll certainly talk about the player of the game. So maybe we'll do that first, because I think he deserves some conversation here in his own right before we get to those other things. So when we get back, player of the game, followed by the big deal, the Wawa Wednesday big deal. So much more. Sixers eke out a win, 106-102 over the lowly Jazz. They got it done. They took the note and they put it in the win column. But we'll talk about more right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show.
Guys, the World Cup coming up this summer. It is a massive, massive event. And I know you want to see how much you can make renting out your home as all the wonderful people come to Philadelphia. AirDNA is the leader in data on short-term rentals. They just released a free calculator so you can figure it out for yourself. Occupancy is already up 200% for the group stage matches. We're still months away from the big event. Available rates that people are charging are 2 to 3 times more than what they were charging last year. And that says it all. You guys want some money so you can do big things, remodel the bathroom, build a new patio, or go on a dream vacation, whatever you want to do. AirDNA is here to help you out. So, all right, guys, listen to the sound of my voice. Think about that brand new patio, season tickets, the epic vacation, or just go to the World Cup and stay with a friend while you rent out your house. I don't care what you do with the money, but you got to go see how much you can make at airdna.co/Sixers. Do it for me today.
Guys, next up, we want to tell you about Xfinity, specifically their 5-year price guarantee. What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep that Wi-Fi at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and it's Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, and dreams grow bigger. But your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable, and the price should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only, restrictions apply.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by me, Kyle, and Bree, and all of you. Thank you so much. Hit the like button, like and subscribe to the show. Leave a comment. As we said, I tried, everybody, but let's get to the...
Devon knows me. He knows I'm too cranky to be convinced to think that was anything less than a disastrous win. But it was indeed a win.
Let's get to the player of the game, and that is one. Kyle already mentioned him, Jabari Walker. He deserves this
heck of a game.
This block here to discuss what he did tonight. 22 points. 10 rebounds, 2 assists. He was 4 for 7 from 3. He was perfect 5 for 5 and 4 for 4 to start. So his start was fantastic. And we had said, we were like, he hasn't had one of those in a while. And what will be the follow-up to his, while it was a garbage time fourth quarter for him, he ended up with 22 last night against the Spurs. He took that and said, you know what? I'm getting an early opportunity. And he ran with it, and he did his job. He helped keep them in there and extend their lead a little bit there in the first half. While the shot wasn't falling there in the second half, he did some really good work on the glass and helping in that category that they desperately needed tonight on the boards. And Jabari Walker, player of the game for the work that he has done. And Kyle, this is the guy that we talked about where he had to wait until his contract was standard. So he had to sit out games. While he talked about on the post game where he was still running through some things with
practicing game situations.
Exactly, with the developmental staff that they have there and just running him through certain instances to stay ready when his number was called. And those types of things that in the bad blowout against the Spurs, but these are the ones that you do, in fact, look at for a player like him that with the final 20 that they do have are these moments that you can take away from that will maybe, again, we didn't expect him to be in the rotation, but maybe he has pushed himself and forced himself at least into the rotation in these final 20 to see if he can give them some quality minutes. And these two games here are certainly something that he can build off of.
Yeah, I want to stick on something you said for a second, Devon. I think given the time off that it was imposed on him because he ran out of two-way days, they're waiting out the hit the quack on our Allen Iverson duck over here. They're waiting out the time period where they can sign him or convert somebody else and not run up against the luxury tax. He's just kind of toiling away behind the scenes, working out, practicing in the gym. And it's really hard to spend that time not playing any kind of meaningful basketball. You don't have any kind of rhythm in game action. It's
Can't go to the G League.
Couldn't go to the G League. Yep. So he's in a really tough spot. And what does he do when he emerges out of that? He didn't play great initially, but when they really needed him tonight in a spot where they're down so many rotation guys, he has a monster game. Hits, I think it was his first 5 shots, hit 4 threes, and then he made a layup on a drop-off pass as well. The level of mental fortitude that takes, I know it's their job. He's a professional basketball player. He's been doing this for a long time. But just think about being away for that long from meaningful minutes and meaningful touches, and you come back, and now it's like you got to play 25 minutes, and you got to go and space the floor. You got to defend. You got to protect the rim. You got to do all these different things and not turn the ball over, not commit silly fouls. And he played not a perfect game, but as close to a perfect game as you're going to get from a role player. The other thing, obviously, the shooting is great. The rebounding is great. I think the thing that jumped out at me is he just played harder than a lot of those guys. And we said before the game, part of what we were looking for, a big part of what we're looking for is show up for this game. You're even with the absences, you're a more talented team. You have the best player in the game. You have some guys that can go and win this game. you have to bring the requisite effort and energy. And those are things that Jabari does every time he hits the floor. It can work against him. He'll commit a silly reach-in foul, or he's going for an offensive rebound from time to time. But I think what you saw tonight was Jabari Walker's resilience, Jabari Walker's commitment to trying to get better. And I would say of the trio, him, Barlow, and Watford, Barlow has been more of a willing shooter than I thought he would be. But Jabari has really, in this 2026 portion of the schedule, he's getting them up when he has the opportunity. I'm willing to live with an 0 for 4, 1 for 5 type game from one of those guys, as long as they're willing to get shots up and try to work through this, because he and they bring other stuff to the table, and that's a huge swing skill. So I love the approach. I love how just obviously productive and good he was. And I love that a guy like that was able to do enough work behind the scenes and keep himself ready so that when his moment came tonight, and when he had the moment last night in garbage time, he took it seriously enough that he's able to parlay that into tonight, where he's our player of the game. And I thought well-deserved for him.
So he's a professional, like you said, and that can't be lost on you, because we've seen plenty of professionals that didn't have a professional approach sometimes when their numbers were called. How many times will you see where guys, especially when they get maybe a little bit older, or they're frustrated with their environment that they're in, and a coach asks them to go in, and they're like, "No, I'm good." But
Drummond.
But he has his number. He has his number called.
Sorry, that's something.
You need some water. He has his number called, and he's ready. So when you give effort like that, and I see where Mr. James 27 is pointing out, don't let this Jabari Walker game go to your head. He's a backup's backup. 76ers super fans. We're not saying that he is a frontline starter. We're not saying that.
No, I'm not expecting 22 points a night.
No, we're not saying that he's part of the 8-man rotation either. It's just more of being ready when he's called on. So when he does shoot threes, and even when he's missing, I don't mind those threes, because it's not like they're taking threes that aren't what they're asked to take. Those threes, like, they're not taking step back threes.
He's strictly a corner three spot up guy.
That's it. Right. So if it doesn't fall, you get frustrated. But we even saw it. Who was it tonight that it was on they missed 2 threes. And who was it I said to you? They missed 2 threes, and then he just strictly did not take the 3 because he had missed the 2.
Who are you talking about?
But you know what the player that I'm talking about. And
I'm trying to forget the game as we're talking about.
But it was the point of he didn't take them because he missed those other 2.
Oh, it was Cody Williams.
Exactly.
Cody Williams missed his first 2.
He stepped in,
and then they played like 15 feet off of him.
Right.
And he stepped in for like a free throw line jumper. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. But when you missed shots like that, and you're like, I'm not taking another one because I thought the other 2 were good. They didn't fall. Let me step in and take this, which is not a good shot in today's NBA anymore for certain players. But Jabari Walker and Dominic Barlow just simply do take the shots that they're asked to take. So you understand it, and when they are given the effort that they are, you're not frustrated with those shot opportunities. So he was just really good. And guess what? Those 22 points that he put up on the board, we said somebody had to be that secondary scorer for Tyrese Maxey, while it wasn't Quentin Grimes, who had all right numbers, as he finished the game, but it was Jabari Walker. And sometimes you're going to have a role player that comes in and does something like that, and that's exactly what he did.
We had a game with Justin Edwards against the Celtics early in the year.
22.
It's a ton of threes. He scored exactly 22 points, including the most important ones down the stretch. It does not mean that Justin Edwards is an every night rotation player, as we've seen throughout this year. Sometimes you need a game like this. It doesn't matter if it's a great team like Boston has proven to be. It doesn't matter if it's a horrible team like the Utah Jazz. You're going to need guys to play above their heads a little bit. And I think the thing with Jabari is that he gives himself a chance.
Yes, he does.
He plays. I rarely have seen him not bring it intensity-wise. Every time he's on the floor, you're going to get the best of what he has. Does that mean that he's a top 8 type of player like you're saying? Oh, of course not. He's had some games where he'll go 0 for 4 from 3, and on the 4th one, chat and Discord and everywhere else is like, why is Jabari Walker taking another 3? But the relentless approach that I'm going to get the next one up, I'm going to try to make the next play, that's what puts you in position to have a game like tonight.
Absolutely. Yep. So that's all. I mean, It's game 62. You needed somebody to do that. He did that. He played hard. He ended up with 22.
Guys, come on. They beat the Jazz by 4 points. We got to have a little bit of positivity for somebody.
Because where were those other 22 going to come from? If Quentin Grimes wasn't going to give you that other 22.
He wasn't scoring 40. And he played, we'll talk about this a little bit. But he had one of the most frustrating plays
he had the WTF
perhaps
moment
in basketball history. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, one of the WTF moments of the night, Quentin Grimes. So that's where, James, I hear you. That's where I do lean and say, just take it for what it was on a night where they needed him to do that as a player on this roster. Jabari Walker, the player of the game tonight for the Philadelphia 76ers in the win over the Utah Jazz. Man, that's where this is fun because basketball, football, whatever sport you want to talk about, the fans, even when you win and you get a game like that from Jabari Walker, it's like James is saying that. Then you go to where Larry says, I don't need Barlow as a willing shooter. Right? So
wow.
I hear you. I get it. But sometimes you just take those.
Perhaps points for being made there.
Exactly. And that's where the whole weird part is. And that's where our big takeaway, our big deal, pardon me, is probably going to come up on the other side. To your point, to Larry's point, to James's point, we still have to talk about that when we get back. So hang tight, take our second break. When we get back, we'll get to the Wawa Wednesday, big deal, and talk about why Larry and James.
I need me one of those $5 crispy chicken sandwiches.
And Kyle is right. Make sure you guys go to Wawa and get your. I know the chicken sandwiches. I actually had it. I had the roasted chicken. It was pretty good.
Ooh,
yeah. So
I'm jealous.
Everybody go give it a shot. When we come back, thanks, James. I appreciate making a strong case. I tried. So when we come back, we'll get to the Wawa Wednesday. Big deal. So James, Larry, this one is more for you when we get back here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show.
Guys, we have a lot of days around here where we're moving nonstop. We're working late nights here till midnight or later. And the next day you're like, man, I need something tasty. I need it now, and I need it at the right price. Good thing Wawa has you covered on every single front because they have $5 deals all day now, and they make our lives so much easier. You've heard from us. The $5 big breakfast deal is awesome. I get my bacon, egg, and cheese sizzly on a croissant. I get a hash brown, and I get any size coffee, hot or iced, for just $5. It's a tremendous deal. But now they've got $5 deals all day. It's not just in the morning. Roasted chicken sandwich or a crispy chicken sandwich your way for just $5. And they've even got new teriyaki recipes. I am more of a Buffalo guy myself, but if you want to try that, I need you to get down to Wawa. It's real food, real value, built for busy days. Limited time, exclusions apply. See Wawa.com for details. Gotta have a Wawa.
There's no reason to push through pain when world-class care is this accessible. And that's right there at Rothman Orthopedics. Rothman Orthopedics is setting the standard in orthopedic treatment, and they've got the recognition to prove it. I am a walking billboard for them as they repaired my ACL and my Achilles. And at Castle Connolly, they have ranked them the #1 physician practice nationally for having the most top 10 top doctors in orthopedic care. That's experience and excellence you can trust. And with Rothman now, you can connect immediately with an orthopedic expert for real answers and the next steps. If you want VIP access, the Fast Scheduler program helps you line up an appointment with the right specialist. At Rothman Orthopedics, it's simple. Your mobility is their mission. As I said, my Achilles, my ACL repaired at Rothman Orthopedics, so I can also say that they are #1. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY and get back to moving the way you're meant to. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show. Kyle, Devon, Bree, everybody, make sure you head to allphly.com and check out Kyle's recap of the game right there at allphly.com. Some great written content on the Sixers side from Derek and Kyle. Certainly on the Birds with the free agents period coming up. A lot of Dallas Goedert conversation. Is he coming back? Is he not? What's going on there? Great show today from EJ and Bo on their bracketology of the free agents, not just the Eagles free agents, but others. Make sure you check them out, both on their show and on the written content that they have there. Also, Phillies and Flyers with Charlie O'Connor, all at allphly.com. Go check them out. Sign up to become a diehard member. All right, let's get to the Wawa Wednesday, big deal presented by Wawa, where you can get the breakfast deal from 5 to 11 a.m., any sizzly, any hot or iced coffee, and a hash brown for $5 from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m., limited time. Go get your grub and your drink. You need the coffee right there at Wawa. All right, let's get to the big deal. James, Larry, this is for you. Kyle, the big deal for the Sixers tonight.
Why the hell don't they have any shooting on this team? And to be clear, I know that Paul George and his shooting, big part of this team. VJ Edgecombe and his shooting, big part of this team. Joel Embiid, same thing, although a lot of it is mid-range and not so much on the three-point focus side. But you watch a game like tonight where they shoot 9 for 35 from three. One, I don't think they got enough up, because when you're playing that heavy zone on the other side, that should be, bombs away for you guys. But they don't have shooters on the floor. We talked about it before the game. Can Justin Edwards play a role tonight? Because watching Trendon Watford as a small forward, guy who doesn't want to take threes, is really difficult for me. Justin goes 1 of 2 from three, plays 15 minutes, was a +6 in his minutes, and can't get on the floor, or stay on the floor, I should say. Kyle Lowry and campaign, in theory, one of the only things they should do is take threes. Both of them are 0 for 2. Andre Drummond is maybe the only guy on the roster I don't want to see take threes anymore. And that's in spite of the fact that his season percentages are good. I just can't take it anymore. I physically cannot watch Andre Drummond waddle over to the three-point line and take a three with 16 seconds left on the shot clock anymore. And then the rest of the play, the Spurs game really broke me with him. And I do think, based on how tonight played out, it might have broke Nick Nurse too, because not only did Nick Nurse bench Drummond in favor of starting Adem Bona, which was the right move, Andre, when he closed out the third quarter with the way he did, where Mo Bamba was beating his behind, Nick Nurse comes out in the fourth quarter with a front line of Dominic Barlow and Jabari Walker, neither of whom on an average night is a shooter, and neither of whom is a center. Neither of whom is probably equipped to rim protect and rebound like a center. But Nurse was so sick of looking at Andre Drummond and whatever his brand of basketball is these days that he said, put that bozo on the end of the bench and don't let me think about him anymore. So he's a part of the problem. Also, though, Quentin Grimes 0 for 4 from three. And other, inside the arc, great night. Great downhill scorer tonight.
Great dunk.
Maxey 2 for 10 from three. And while some of those are, I'll give him this much. Some of those are the shots that Nurse has said he wants more of, the early clock, early offense, transition threes where he's pulling from deep. And when you're playing against a team that is going to double and trap you constantly, that is one way to say, you're not going to get the ball out of my hands. I'm pulling it early. Unfortunately, he's not making those. And then as the game wears on and they did a good job of spacing out his attempts by getting the ball out of his hands, he's missing open catch and shoot threes that I think Maxey on a good day is making in his sleep. So there's just nowhere near enough shooting on this team. And you think about who they traded away at the deadline once again, and you're like, why do we have to watch this every night? Why can't they, like a team like the Spurs, have some guys who are dead-eye corner shooters, and you're just like, ball's going to them in the starting lineup? I feel pretty damn good about that. And the Spurs don't even have great shooters, right? But they have guys that I think if the ball is getting to them, you feel pretty good about. Not a lot of those on the Sixers at this point. And it's really unfortunate.
There was a name that I didn't get a chance to bring up when we were doing our pre-trade deadline stuff, and I wanted to bring up to you and Derek and Bree, and just I was like, what happened to Jordan Hawkins in New Orleans? 6'5", flat out shooter, not a dribbler, not a great defender, but when you have a decent enough roster, can you have a player like that just on your bench to come in for 20 minutes a night that you just fire it off and get a shot?
There are lots of those guys around the
right.
It's an archetype that that's what the NBA is now.
Yes.
Are just lots of guys who can get it up and will make a lot of threes.
Yeah. And while he hasn't had a good season, really, I mean, his rookie season, he shot 37% from three. He tailed off in year 2, and he hasn't really played 40 games this year for the Pelicans. He doesn't play a lot. Sometimes players just need to get out of where they are. And I look at a player like that. I don't know the answer. I'm not in New Orleans. I have no idea. But what I do know about Jordan Hawkins is he can shoot. And when we talk about the archetype of what these teams are, where you have Julian Champagnie and Devin Vassell can put the ball on the floor. Champagnie's gotten so much better putting the ball on the floor as well. But when you go to Boston and Sam Hauser, Sam Merrill in Cleveland, you have all of these players that their one skill really is to shoot the basketball and do so at a pretty high clip where you can be a role player and make a living in the NBA, where you have players like Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George, where you need to be able to spread the ball out to those types of players just to knock down their shot. And you can also hide them on defense when you do other things like have those players around him, Maxey and B and George, where you can have a player like that that's a weakness on defense because he's making up for it on the other end. When they do miss a shot, they go back the other end, and he's able to knock down a shot like that. I don't know what's going on with Jordan Hawkins. I'm just bringing up a player like that, as Kyle is talking about, just simply where are the shooters on this roster? And sure, you trade away Jared McCain, then I go to Landry Shamet on the Knicks, right? They don't even ask him to put the ball on the floor as much anymore. He can because he used to play point guard, but he is a shooter in the NBA now, and that's what he does. He comes in, and he is a shooter. We saw Malik Beasley and Duncan Robinson last year, Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. for the Detroit Pistons. Denver did exactly that by acquiring Tim Hardaway Jr. to be a part of their team just to shoot the basketball. And I look at a player like that, and we worry about this in the offseason and who that might be. I see Chris bringing up Danny Green as a player late in his career that couldn't do as much anymore but could still shoot the basketball and understand his assignments and where to be IQ-wise as a help team defender. Where are the shooters on this basketball team? You are absolutely right. Yes, they have 3 that are on the bench right now that are out of their starting lineup. But even when you look at stuff like that, all right, you got rid of Jared McCain, but can you find some other ones on the margin to be on your roster as part of the personnel going forward? And they need to do that desperately in the offseason.
And here's the thing, Devon. They are not shooting enough of them and not making enough of them. And that's a toxic problem. I think the more interesting part of that, because we can say they're not making enough of them, they don't have enough shooters. So that's a very easy A to B conclusion. The more interesting one is, why don't they generate enough threes? Like, why aren't they getting them up? How much of that is Nick Nurse doesn't prioritize it enough? I find that hard to believe, given that Nurse and Morey go back to the Houston days, and Morey put such an emphasis on the three-point shot.
Ryan Anderson couldn't do anything else but shoot.
So some of it
he's 6'10", but he could shoot.
Some of it has to be that he's more willing to live with mid-range stuff, and like, okay, fine, whatever. Sometimes it is a good shot. There are times that you have to use that as a weapon. I'm not a zealot where it's like every shot's got to be threes and layups. I don't feel that way. But so there's a little bit of that. There's some of it is Joel is a heavy mid-range player, and so when he's on the floor and the offense is flowing through him, you're naturally, when he is finishing a possession, you're probably not going to take a three unless he's getting doubled, in which case it's flying around the perimeter. But otherwise, they don't have a consistent way to generate threes. Maybe it's the lack of playmaking overall. They don't have like a true, like, this guy is an elite playmaker passer. Maxey is pretty good. VJ is pretty good for a rookie. Joel at his position is pretty good. But a lot of pretty good guys does not add up to, for example, like a James Harden, right? Where you put him on a team, you know what you're getting. You're getting a guy who in the pick and roll is going to give the center 20 points by just hitting him exactly where he needs to hit him. And he's going to find his shooters all over the floor exactly when teams double him, exactly when the pressure converges on him in the middle of the floor. So there's a lot of reasons that they don't get enough up, but they haven't figured it out. And that's it. Like, so when you end up against a team like the Jazz, who are bad, who are tanking, who are trying to lose, they're still getting up enough threes that they can keep pace with you as you refuse to get up more and refuse to put more shooters on the roster. So I I think it's a thing they need to fix. It was part of the reason I was surprised the McCain trade happened, and we said at the time, one of the big pieces of skepticism is, where is your shooting coming from?
Yeah.
What happens in a playoff game when we saw Buddy Hield swing a playoff game or swing a whole half in the Knicks series because Nurse threw him in, and the game goes from a potential blowout to, oh my God, they're winning now because a guy just came off the bench and caught a heater. They don't have those players on this team. And that is even if it's not a right now problem, and I believe it is certainly a down the road problem.
No, it is. It's something that needs to be addressed in the offseason. We talked about a lot of them even at the deadline. I know I stomped for Sadiq. You guys talked about Najee Marshall and some other players that all of them would have at least corrected some of the problems that they currently have as far as the roster goes right now. That is our Wawa Wednesday big deal presented by Wawa, where you can get any Sizzly, any hot or iced coffee, and a hash brown for just $5, everybody. That's 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. every day at Wawa. And don't forget, as Kyle brought up a little bit earlier, all day.
$5 all day crispy and roasted chicken sandwiches with a limited time teriyaki flavor.
It's very good.
But you can create your own. So
I get lettuce and
buffalo.
I get lettuce and tomatoes on mine, and then I get the teriyaki sauce. It's pretty good.
I have not. I keep talking about it. I got to be about it. I got to get one, but I can't branch out of my buffalo.
It's very good.
That's my move.
It's very good. So go check it out, everybody. That's our Wawa Wednesday big deal. By the way, D. Craig says they need a shooter with some size. Hauser and Merrill are both like 6'8". Hauser is 6'8". D. Craig. Merrill is 6'5", so it's right there in that same way of where we're talking about with Jordan Hawkins. That's just me. I don't want to put that on Kyle. I brought him up. He's had a terrible run these last 2 years with the New Orleans Pelicans, but I just brought up sometimes you just need guys to get out of their environment to really crack the code on where they are. And I know that
Sadiq Bey, get him in here, man.
That's what we talked about. And Davon says this ain't a decent enough roster though, Devon, for those types of moves. But that's the point that Kyle's bringing up for the big deal. It's the roster. Doesn't mean don't go get him because you can't still correct the roster after you add some of those pieces in. All right, final segment on the other side. When we get back, we will get to the unsung hero, the Togo unsung hero, as we hang out with you for a little bit more, plus your super chat. Sixers win. Doesn't seem like it as we talk here through, but they did win. 106-102. They're 34 and 28 on the season.
As say 38. That's a really impactful win.
I didn't fast forward to the season, everybody. 34 and 28. We'll be back right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show. If you're looking for a night out, I have a great place for you. Parks Casino Excite Center. The Excite Center at Parks Casino is one of the many things I love about my casino of choice. Parks Casino is Pennsylvania's #1 casino and is so close to Philadelphia, located in Bensalem. All you have to do is take the Street Road exit off of I-95 and the PA Turnpike, and boom, you are right there. Some great events coming up at the Excite Center on Friday, March 6th. It's coming up. Candlebox. Get your tickets. Still available right there at Parks Casino. My guy, Tracy Morgan, hustle man, always loved him from the Martin series. March 14th, that's a Saturday night, 8 p.m., right there at the Excite Center. So if you want to join me there for that, the state-of-the-art entertainment venue located in Posada Parks Casino, it's right there for you. Visit parkscasino.com to buy all your tickets. Pre-game the shows at their amazing beer garden. Have a good time. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You must be 21 and over. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's time to make your home work smarter, not harder. With a TrueMark Financial Home Equity line of credit, you can tap into your home's equity to handle renovations, upgrades, or whatever is next on your list. A TrueMark Financial HELOC Select gives you flexibility to borrow when you need it on your timeline. Start with a revolving line of credit. You use it only when you need it. And when you're ready, you can lock in all or part of your balance at a fixed rate for predictable payments. You know, we all want predictable when we're making payments. You only pay interest on what you use, and as you pay it back, that credit becomes available again. No reapplying, no extra steps, and with competitive rates compared to most unsecured loans and flexible repayment options, this could be a smart move for your home and your wallet. Learn more about TrueMark Financial's home equity line of credit at TrueMark.com or stop by one of their 24 branch locations to get started. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender, NMLS 404938.
All right, final segment here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show. Kyle, Devon, Bree, thanks for everybody hanging out with us on this Wednesday night. 2 late night games in Philadelphia, 8 o'clock and the 7:30 back-to-back. Sixers get the win over the Jazz. Let's get to the Togo Unsung Hero, presented by Togo, the leader in operations outsourcing. And let's go with 2 of them tonight.
Okay. Who are we going with?
Adem Bona.
Okay. I like it.
And Tyrese Martin.
He's where I thought you were going. And look, I'll point out that he did have 4 turnovers, one of which was a pretty bad one in the fourth quarter as they're looking like they're going to lose the game. But otherwise, I think you saw the outline of why we were happy with him as a two-way guy, why you talked about him as a potential buyout type of candidate. Can put it on the floor. Had a really nice drop off to, I can't remember who it was. Might have been Drummond.
I think it was
for
Drummond
his
for his
bucket.
layup. Yeah.
So beat a closeout, like had hit a couple threes in the fourth quarter, which we've talked about as a huge swing skill for him. Because if he can hit shots consistently, I think everything else he's good enough at that he'll tie it all together. So he had hit 2 threes, they close out hard. Martin gets downhill, gets to the rim, drop off the Drummond, and 1. Great sequence for him. I think you can tell that he's only just getting in the flow with these guys, and he's someone that hasn't played regular rotation minutes recently.
Yep.
Not going to overstate his case or anything, but for a two-way player who's getting thrown into the mix in a real rotation spot, played, I think, in all 4 quarters at some point. He definitely played in first quarter. I don't remember where his sub patterns were in the second, but played a lot of minutes tonight for a guy who was completely out of the rotation otherwise, almost 19 minutes. So good job by him. And I think you can see why we were all a little interested in him compared to some of the smaller guards, because he brings you that package and he's like 6'6", so he still has some flexibility defensively.
Have you seen him yet at practice?
I had not talked to him yet.
Because I was going to see if you felt like he was a legit 6'6" when you stood next to him, but you'll be at practice.
From a little far away, looked like he's like, yeah, he's up in that territory for sure.
So I agree with Kyle. You can, as he said, you can kind of tell that he's still very, very fresh being here with this group and trying to figure it out. Even on some just regular exchanges, it seemed a little clunky. Had that one bad turnover to Maxey where there was a miscommunication where it was I think it was a backcourt violation, and it was just a bad play. He had a heat check kind of 3-pointer where it was like, oh, really? This is what you're doing. But
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, but it was like, okay,
Andre Drummond, don't even think about it, buddy.
Don't get any ideas on that one. So I just like his minutes. And if he continues to get some minutes, he's not going to play what he played there tonight in the amount that he really received tonight in the 18+. He's not going to get that. But if he gets anywhere from 10 to 15, gives you some solid, smart minutes out there on the floor, that's all you can ask for from him. So his 8 points, we just simply talking about, can that build to the next game and see if there's something that just continues to go. But Adem Bona, 12 points, 5 boards, 1 block, 1 steal, 6 for 8 from the floor, 28+ minutes, got the start tonight, as you mentioned, where Nick Nurse trusted him, did some good stuff on the perimeter against Kyle Filipowski, as Bree has him there on the graphic with his stats, and stayed grounded on a lot of things where I think earlier in the season he would have bid on a few of those and got some fouls, reaching his hand in there for some others. He only had 2 personal fouls again tonight.
And that's big for him.
Yeah, so this was one of the better Adem Bona games, and I thought it was right to, I wanted to simply go with Tyrese Martin, but Adem Bona needed to be discussed tonight.
Yeah, and I like the flashes we've been talking about offensively where it is nothing advanced, but even doing the basic stuff looked hard for him coming out of college and his first couple months in the league. We saw him starting to put it together, and I believe they played Milwaukee, I think, in the back half of last year, and he had a game where, he executed like a fake dribble handoff and had some real moments, and it's just a momentary thing. But now, year 2, he's getting more minutes under his belt, more consistent playing time, and I think his hands are improving. I think when he's getting hit with drop-off passes around the rim, he's handling those a lot better. He had a moment tonight where he got thrown the ball against, I think it was Keyonte George, right? And George immediately wraps him up after he hits a quick drop step on him, which good professional foul by Keyonte, but also good recognition by Adem. Like, I got the smaller guy on me. Let's take it to him. So I think it was a solid game for him. It's nothing spectacular. I always want to see more rebounds, 5 rebounds from your starting center in 28, almost 29 minutes. Not enough for me personally, but I think given the growth that we're seeing in other areas, and I think we've seen him have some good rebounding games recently, I think he's trending in the right direction, and I'll be very happy if he keeps this level of play up when they eventually have the big guy back and manning the starting minutes.
Because if Joel is not back for the Atlanta game, you have to go with Adem Bona in the starting lineup against
look, I'm at the point where if people haven't figured it out by now, I don't think I want to see Andre Drummond at all. I don't trust his decision making. I think a lot of the stats are empty. I think, frankly, he's just kind of moseying through these games right now without a care in the world. Really, the one that jumped out at me, one of the wing 3 he took against San Antonio last night, he had an opportunity to screen for Grimes and make real contact on Devin Vassell. And instead, he just kind of watched as Vassell waltzed past him. He flashes out. He takes one of the worst threes he's had all year that barely scraped the rim. And it's like, you're just not even attempting to do your job. So I don't have a lot of tolerance left for him, if anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's increasingly common amongst the fans. So we'll see where Nick Nurse stands with that.
The Togo unsung heroes tonight, Tyrese Martin and Adem Bona. Make sure you check out Togo, the leader in operations outsourcing. Let Togo handle the work that gets in the way of your work. You call the plays, we execute at Togo. All right, let's get to the Super Chats. We have quite a few that we want to get to. The Jake Mark says, Maxey's 2 for his last 15 from 3 in the second half of these games since the Minnesota win. Not sure if he's tired or if it's a fluke.
I think everyone's a little bit too reflexive to always say if he missed shots, he's tired. Because Maxey had a long stretch to start last year. He didn't make shots. Yeah. Now, the team context was a mess. Paul's in and out of the lineup. Joel's in and out of the lineup. But it also shows when he can get shots playing off of other stars. And, Joel's getting doubled. Paul's a creative passer and can hit him over the top from time to time. He's going to get better looks and he's going to shoot better. So it's not shocking that he's going to shoot worse in a back-to-back with so little talent on the floor. But I think people are maybe a little too eager to say it's all tired legs. I think it's part of it, certainly. Like, he played almost 38 minutes against a Jazz team that is trying to give games away. That's criminal that he had to play that many minutes at all. And the wear and tear, the workload catching up to him for sure. I just don't want to say like that's the only thing that's happening. Some of it is he's just got to shoot better.
Yep. Jake also says, not sure why anyone is surprised by tonight. Sixers had the best player, yes, but the Jazz had more NBA players and a way better coach. So
I do like Will Hardy.
I'm a fan of Will Hardy.
I do think that he actively sabotaged not calling a timeout when they had a chance there at the end, but good job by him to appease Danny.
Yeah, that's right. He got the message.
Well, the whole Ainge family, I should say.
Who's the owner? What's his name? Smith. Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith. Ryan likes Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith like Will Hardy, so he's safe. Yes. He's all good. And they do have a lot of talent, a lot of NBA talent on that team. So I can't wait to see, especially if they get one of those top picks.
Darren Peterson.
Yeah, if they get one of those top picks, or when they get one of those top picks. I can't wait to see what they look like with Jaren Jackson and Lowry Markkanen out there with whoever that pick is. Keyonte George with that talent around him and more space to do what he can do, which we have seen. He was on an all-star trajectory early on, and then the call came from down upstairs and had to shut some of that down. So they're going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. They're going to be very interesting. I'm not going to say they're going to make that much of a jump, but talent-wise, they're not that
far away from being a much different team.
Absolutely. We're going into overtime, everybody, on this Wednesday night. Head on over to overtime at allphly.com. Thank you on the television side. We're back for one more 3 p.m. show on Thursday. We'll be with you, all 4 of us. Bree, Derek, Kyle, myself will be here. Hope to see all of you right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Bernard says, truly Maxey needs to be better. Season would be over if he wasn't spilling his guts with the other 2 stars missing. He's played 60 of 62 games. Crazy.
Playing a lot in terms of appearances and minutes. So I certainly sympathize with how tough this assignment is for him. It doesn't mean that he gets carte blanche to play horribly. And I don't think he was horrible tonight. I don't think he was very good. I'd say is a mediocre game is what I would characterize that as for Tyrese because of the circumstances. But yeah, it's a tough job. There are not many players who you just drop right into his spot, take him off the team, put him wherever, and get a new guy who would have this team playing better. Like a lot of this is just not really down to how he's playing right
2 for 18 is never good from behind the 3-point line, as Jake pointed out, and we kind of extended over to Bernard. Mentioned the 2 games. He had VJ for half yesterday, and he had nobody tonight. I would ask Jake, if you're still in the chat, do you like the shot attempts? Don't like the shot attempts? What kind of shots would you like him to take, especially in those early shot clock ones that Kyle mentioned that Nick Nurse would like him to see, especially against the defenses that he's facing? Are they open? Do you feel like, you know what I mean? So 2 for 18, no. I don't expect him to be 9 for 18 either, and shooting 50% with the defenses that he's seeing and how quickly he's trying to get these shots off because of the coverage that he is facing in these 2 games without everybody else on the floor. Not excuse. I'm just asking, what kind of 3-point shots would you prefer to see when he is the one that they're coming after?
I guess one of the questions I would have at this point is, what do we think his actual level is as a shooter? Because not whether he's good or great or whatever, but what is his percentage that we expect when we look at the box score and the stat line after the season's over?
Yeah, the stats, right? What's his
So I have the splits up for this season, and they are wildly different month to month. October is only 5 games. He shoots close to 47%. November, 35.5. That's 14 games. December, 10 games, 42.2%. January, 37.5. I think that's a real solid number. And I think given the volume and playing off of Joel, like, I'd be very happy with that. If he's a 30 or closer to 38% shooter with the real team around him, I think that's great because of the types of shots that he's taking.
And he's getting up 10.
But then February, he's at 32.7. And I don't think this factors in tonight. So he was 2 for 10 tonight, right? So he's 8 for 27 in March now. That's under 30% from 3. Obviously, he's not that bad. I guess I'm just kind of asking aloud, not to anyone.
And that's why I think
you have an answer
with the Jake question.
What is his level as a shooter?
I don't know.
38. It's tough to determine.
I think it should be 38. Yeah, I think it should be somewhere between 38. If he can, if it's like 39.5, you know what I mean? 38 and 39.5, I can live with that because of the amount, the volume that he takes. That's
all the pull-ups, all
difficult.
the deep threes.
Yeah, so I'm good with that.
And he's at 37.5 for the year.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that because, again, Paul George is now out for 25 games. Joel Embiid is not available for all of them. VJ Edgecombe is still a rookie, and he sees some weird coverages. And he's still, as we talk about a lot, he's still 6'2". At the end of it, he's still 6'2", 6'3". And for him to make that clip of a shot at that size against those bigger defenders that are always on him, I would take 37.5 on a season. But perfect world, 38 to about 39.5, I would take that.
It's tough to ask for, hey, I want you to shoot 38% every single month consecutively. Like JJ Redick always talked about, by the end of the year, I'll hit the number on the back of the baseball card, the 40%. But you're going to go through weeks at a time, even a month at a time sometimes, where you just can't buy one. In the end, all the shots matter, not just the peaks and the valleys.
Yep. Fascinating conversation, though. Like you said, just speaking out loud, it's one that you just talk about and say to yourself, all right, what do I really want him to be?
Like if they still had James Harden, I would expect him to shoot more like a 42% from three. With him being the guy on the perimeter, I think it's way too big of an ask for his skill set and who is around him for him to be 40+% every night. So 38-ish, I would be content with.
Yep. Davon says, sell the team. Nick Nurse, give Morey a tic tac. Thank you, Davon, for the super chat. We appreciate it.
Is there like some kind of,
I don't know. It's outside of the sell the team part, and it seems like he wants to get both of those guys out. I have no idea.
I've been around Daryl plenty. I don't think I've ever been like, boy.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Chew some gum or eat a Tic Tac. So I don't know where that comes from.
Sneak in the pocket and pull out a mint. Like I just had one. You want
one?
Hey,
you want
to? He also says Martin seemed nervous, but his passes were surprising. So he had some good passes. Like Kyle brought up the one to Drummond. Once he gets a little more acclimated with his teammates, they're still strangers. I think he'll be better. He's still a two-way guy. He's still a two-way player, but I think he's an NBA player. I think he's a deep roster NBA player, but in pinches, he can give you some good minutes.
You know who else had some surprising passes we talked about a lot during the game? Isaiah Collier, boy.
Yes, he did.
His floor and ceiling as a passer are just so far apart where I know I talked to you about it already, but the falling down, going to his right, two-hand zip pass to the opposite corner, you're like, holy shit, how did he make that pass? And then there's a play where he goes baseline and he's trying to Nash, and he's throwing a one-hand rat, and it's like 2 or 3 feet off course, and the teammate barely gets a hand on it, goes out of bounds, and it's like, it's basically like a random number generator. It's like, all right, what's going to happen on this play? I remember watching him in college. I said that when we talked about that class,
USC,
that I had some interest in him. I thought he's just an interesting initiator bet. I still think he kind of is, but it is a roller coaster watching.
He's like so like Bree has, or just simply you have your value meter of when we're talking, and you see the levels that go up and down. He's that. Look at that great pass.
Like,
look at that great pass right there. It's like, whoa, it's going right back down. That's Isaiah Collier. And then he'll have those stretches, everybody, where he'll go 2 weeks and he's averaging like 11 assists. And it's amazing to watch him when he's in that groove too. So he's a backup guard in this league. I do wonder if he sticks with the team for their continued rebuild that they have behind Keyonte George. And then young player, point guard, make your mistakes, have your 5 turnovers, do all that stuff. But then when they become a good team, and Will Hardy's like, all right,
get me an adult. Here's kind of what I think.
Yeah, if you don't do this, we're going to go get the adult.
Exactly.
Behind Keyonte George as our future point guard.
All that being said, he only had 3 turnovers tonight.
Yes.
So and he had, 5 assists? And we thought he probably could have had more. The Jazz missed some open shots.
Yeah.
So he's a fun watch. I don't know, now that I've seen him in the NBA for a while, that I could do him every night on a team that I enjoy or that I cover or whatever it might be. But I like watching him from afar. It's a fun experience.
Lost Sleep TV says, Collier's neck is bigger than Justin Edwards' waist.
He is strong.
They kept calling him a bulldog.
He had some moves tonight where it was just shoulder into somebody's chest.
It was like, Dominic Barlow's on him. He's staying with him, but then Collier gets into the paint and says,
"Get off
shoulder into the chest.
Get off me, dog."
And that's it. He's got the KO Spikes neck.
Got to hit him with the
exactly.
flex after.
All right. Sixers win. You heard this post game. It doesn't seem like it, but they won.
We had fun somehow.
We had a good time.
That's mostly because we like each other up here.
Yes. We had a good time.
We didn't like that game, though.
34-28 they are now on the season. They do remain in the 6th place. The Hawks are playing right now. They lead the Milwaukee Bucks. So we'll see how all that goes. We'll have a standings update for
My Hornets are cooking,
on
man.
Thursday to update you on where the Sixers are, how far in front they are of teams, and where they are as far as trailing other teams who played tonight and who's on the schedule for the Thursday night matchups overall. I will say this about the Sixers and the Raptors. They're a game and a half back of the Raptors after tonight's win. Raptors were idle tonight. All right, let's get to the world famous roll call.
Put some respect on my guys in Charlotte, man. They
Listen,
kicked the crap out of the Celtics tonight. That wasn't even close.
It was not close at all. I said to Kyle and Bree, I was like, wait a minute. Second quarter, they're up 15. And then it just kept going.
And I think they won by 19 when all was said and done. Another 20 spot from Knipple. Brandon Miller, good game. LaMelo Ball.
32-31. They have won 6 games in a row. They're on the hottest winning streak in the Eastern Conference. Pardon me, they're on the biggest winning streak in the NBA right now.
Somehow we went through the whole postgame without saying almost anything about Ace, by the way.
We'll talk about Ace tomorrow.
It's like a very Ace Bailey game. That's what I would say. He had some moments, and he had some moments. And just like you in the chat, just like Juan and I on the show, we all have our moments. Thank you guys for being here and hanging out with us. Bree always has the good moments. No off days. No off shooting nights for Bree. Thank you, Bree, as always.
As always.
And thank you to all our wonderful people who hung out with us for almost an hour, 15 minutes now, talking about that nonsense game. We love y'all. Thank you. Who are our super chatters tonight? We had our guy Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats, Bernard McCoy, and the Jake Mark. Thank you, fellas, for checking in, donating to the show, spending your time with us. We always appreciate that. Thank you also to Arizona Ron, to Andrew Sharp, to Anytime, Anywhere.
What up, Anytime,
Mr.
Anywhere?
Midrange. Black Moses in the building.
Moses,
who said
is back.
He keeps saying, been working long hours lately.
We get it.
Take some time with us still, and we appreciate that. Thank you, my friend. Thank you to Dahlin, to Walter Phillips, Kyle Wright, Larry K, Mellow 3 Point, Alex Stern, Val, Jess, my girl Nona, who I think is under a pseudonym these days, so.
Is she?
I see that nickname or that
ladies.
Screen name in there, Nona. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you to Headfoot, to Jazz, to Daniel Berry, D. Craig, Coleman Potts, Daniel Yu, Fried Cheese, Sean Sharp. Say what?
Say what?
Thank you to AC Philla, Remo K, Sean Williams.
What up, Sean?
Ishmael, Invader, 90, Music Lover, Jack Reacher, Sir Schmooey.
Ready for Jack Reacher 3, everybody.
Bro Mono in the house. Thank you to JDub215.
Mono, what up?
Joaquin from Cherry Hill, Lost Sleep TV, Reardon, and all our wonderful people who I didn't get to, and it's not because I don't like you.
I'm going to watch some TV tonight.
I didn't forget you, Mom. Mom's grandchildren. Hello to Mom.
She's there.
Hello to Jay of the Jungle. Hello
up,
to Aaron, Marcus Blackstock, Theo, X-Man, all our wonderful people who are with us all the time. We love y'all. You show us the love back. Please, on the way out, as Devon said earlier, hit the thumbs up button on this video. It helps us out quite a bit. Not just this show, not just this video. The whole damn team here at PHLY, including our wonderful super producer, Bree, who's making it all happen behind the scenes. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. We will be back for one last 3 p.m. show of the week tomorrow, Thursday, 3 p.m.
Like a week and a half.
Yeah, and then it's just nothing but games for about a week and a half straight after that. So see you guys tomorrow, Thursday at 3 p.m. We'll have a lot of fun. I don't know.
Philly Shad, what up?
I don't know what we will be talking about. Philly Shad, my bad, man.
See you in there, man.
I swear I wrote your name down, or I thought I did, but because I replied to you in the chat specifically, I think when I went to write your name, listen, it's my bad.
Shad, what up, man?
It's my fault.
We see you in there.
You the man.
Vinny, what up?
I love you all. Vincent Pellegrini, of course, hanging out here. Goodbye, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Until then, stay safe. Take care of one another. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.